checked and requested with the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, and I sent you the email, and they basically say that they can't do anything about it. I would suggest, if I may, that if the parish council vote that they want to go forward with it, it will cost about £500 to have it moved. Then the burial committee could look at it and report back on it. I've got pictures there of the siting of it, if you just want to have a quick look.
It just keeps going on and on.
It does, yeah. We need to.
Would it possible to you bring me into speed on?
That's
because maybe some people aren't aware of the issues with the memorial.
Well, 3 or 4 years ago, somebody was in the old cemetery, and in a very, very overgrown patch, they found this cross, this memorial to Tom Sugar. I think he's actually buried in France.
He's buried abroad. This is the actual. The family did this as in honour of his.
And it was thought at the time that it's hidden away in a corner. Well, it's been cleared now, so you can actually find it and see it. But we thought it would be very nice if it was moved up into the council cemetery and put in a very prominent position, so that it's sort of the thing you see when you first enter the council.
Incidentally, it didn't look like that when it came out of the brambles. The top parts had been removed because of these monuments that are classed unsafe, so they've had to take the top off and lay it down so that they couldn't fall on children, right, which there had been some accidents, I think, and Rotherham's, I think they actually paid for that, didn't they, to have that restored? Yeah, I think Chris sorted that. And the war graves have been looking at this. I've been speaking to them now for since about 1996, 97, and it's never got anywhere. We've never got it registered.
Forgive my ignorance, what's involved in the actual moving of the, is it?
There isn't a body there, it's just a memorial.
And that's why the War Graves Commission won't get involved.
Do it once, can't they? They can only have one memorial. Yeah.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, possibly it's my ignorance, so please excuse me, but we're moving it. I mean, £500 seems like it's obviously a lot of money, but is there a reason why it's so expensive to move it if there is no, obviously, body to be moved either? I mean, is it just a freestanding memorial? Is it cemented in? Is it a big job to?
It will be cemented in, I would imagine.
The cost, the £500 cost, is split in two. There's £250-ish that will be needed to get a faculty, because the diocesan secretary in York has to approve it. So this parish council would need to get the approval of the church, would need to consult with the village and so on, and then present all of that to the diocesan register, and they would go through their process and produce what is called a faculty, which is basically a permission that says yes, you can move it, and then the parish council would then move it, and Rotherham's has quoted about 200 to 250 to physically move it.
So your question was, it's not easy to move.
So there are two halves to it.
More complicated.
So, I mean, again, my ignorance, but so there's the church are levying a fee, an administrative fee to, have a conversation about moving it and then giving permission to move it from one area to the other area. It does seem quite excessive. I mean, is there a way to petition that particular cost? I mean, Rotherham's cost seems very reasonable, but is there a way is there any alternative action we can take there? We have to go through the.
We have to go through the procedure with the church. It's currently in the church graveyard.
Right.
We don't have control of it as a parish council, and their procedures are such that that's the price that I've been quoted by. Actually, I got it over the telephone, the price from them. Faculty fee was about 250. Rotherham said about 2 to 250, probably nearer 200, but I put 500 as being a sort of price. But as you see with the picture showing it in the distance, as Anne said at the time, it was in a bit of a state. Well, now it's looked after by the handyman, and it's quite visible, isn't it?
I wonder, can we approach the war graves to to see if they'd adopt it, because they were quite interested in it when I spoke to them. Have you been in touch?
I've done that, and I have sent you an email, and it says, well, it basically says no, because it was only commemorated by the Commission on a memorial in a place in Belgium, and so that this one doesn't fall under the Commission's jurisdiction, and it's regretted that the Commission cannot accede to your request to have this memorial moved into the Walgate plot, which they misunderstood when I spoke to them, or provide for its maintenance or upkeep. So they won't get involved because his memorial's in Belgium, and that's the one that the only one they'll focus on. As Margaret said, they'll only look at one of them.
Well, I suggest that we leave it where it is and look after it and save ourselves £500.
That's a wonderful suggestion.
And maybe just dig a bit of a border around it so the grass doesn't grow up in, and just generally look after it. So.
You like a bit of gardening, don't you?
I don't mind going and doing it. Look after the ones down here.
Well, I mean, almost. I think that's where it's always been.
Yeah.
I don't see why.
I think for £500, which is a lot of
Necessity
money,
to. I think initially it sounded a good idea, but I mean, I think that looks quite prominent there, and it's where it's always been, hasn't it?
I don't think when Chris suggested moving it, he thought there would be a cost.
Yeah.
Well, certainly not
It was in the state at the time as well.
It was. And you know, this picture that's been handed around, that looks quite good. And you say if a small area is kept neat and tidy around it,
Yeah, now that we're looking after the graveyard, can we officially say
Yeah.
that we're looking after it? You know, we can make sure it's been looked after.
yes. So is everyone happy with
So
that?
Anne's
I'll
proposed.
second.
Sorry,
That's Anne's
you're saying
I'll second that.
those in favour of Anne's proposal then? Good.
So everybody, yeah. So thank you for that.
So I think that's around.
It's been sitting there, and I hold my hand up that it's my fault that it's been sitting there as long as it has. So
How many managers?
I have nothing to
I
say.
don't know. It was good yesterday, got it in hanging baskets, ready to go out this year.
As I said, on the top of Chapel Fields, there's 4 beds, and they haven't been weeded in weeks. They look a mess.
We've been poorly.
The employees, Steve has.
Steve's away on holiday at the
What's
moment.
the guy, what's the chapel looks after? Peter.
Yeah, Steve helps him at
Yeah.
the start.
Yeah.
This is in particular.
When we've got time, myself and Joe Murray go out and do his reading books.
And we had a look at Stevie's hours.
No, we're going to meet with Steve. He's away at the moment. Peter and I are meeting with him hopefully next week. He's back on Friday, I think it is.
Sorry, just in this handout you give me, Steve, you know, it says here, point 13, the PC employs Steve Deer as grounds maintenance person, and his function is to litter pick plus 10 flower beds, plus other work. So to me, his main function is 10 flower beds. Like I say, the 4 at the top of the chapel I haven't touched in months. They're just full of dandelions, weeds, and a lot.
We'll pick that point up.
Councillors with a bit of spare time can pull one or two.
Yeah, when you
I've been in the, what do you call it? Sorry, I've been in the kids' play area doing my bit.
Hey, when you mentioned the hours, do we have to review them? I mean, what was that point about checking Steve's hours? Do we have to see if
There's
it's
been
too
a
little or too many? Or
There's been a lot of quotes lately when he hasn't been seen or litter picking or.
He's changed his job, his main job. He's changed his main job, so that means his shifts have changed, and he's working what we might term unsocial hours. So he might be out before people notice him, or out after people notice him. So, but we're going to pick up on all of that when Pete and myself meet with him. I've kind of had that conversation with him very briefly.
Sorry, can I say something, Jim? Like I say, I've been really sad. I've been looking at the payments over the last few months, and like Steve, it's £180, £182 month in, month out, and Peter's the one who varies a lot. You know, it's normally £400 March, jumped up to over £600 for March.
Yeah, it's not his salary that changes. His salary is standard. It's expenses, and the expenses are if he buys things to do work.
So that's a new, that's not true labour cost. That's labour plus parts.
Correct.
Fine, it's okay. So they're both salaried.
Correct. Yeah, that was done to give them a continuity of pay. Rather
So,
than-
like for example, his payments, this is Peter, his payment in January was £336, in March it was £609, so he spent nearly £300 on parts.
There was, without looking, I can't remember. What I will do with pleasure is I'll send everybody a copy of his expenses each month. I send it currently to Pete and to Helen. I'm more than happy, and it's in the public domain.
Yeah.
You're very happy to see it.
I mean, I don't know, would it be possible to split it out so on the minutes it shows the
Yeah.
salaries and the hours worked on a monthly basis, and then you can actually see clearly the
And
expenses.
exactly what the expenses are, and what the farm
Yeah.
is.
We did agree though, didn't we, that he was changing his vehicle and he could have it in the car. So would that
And
be?
insurance.
There's various things that the parish council support Pete with, because he uses his vehicle on our behalf, and there are costs that the parish council's agreed with for that.
Or insure it for one bit.
Yeah,
I think if we,
So that can be sometimes, if that like jumped £200.
Oh yeah,
It might
as I
be.
say, I just thought
Yeah,
this was
yeah.
purely labour. When you look at the minute, you're thinking labour.
if it's split, it's going to be more transparent and just
Yeah.
allow us to see, expenditure and actual wages, salary.
How do they work it? They do the work less in the winter and have
Supposed to
more
leave
hours in the
itself
summer
out.
and it evens.
it levels it. It does. We talked to him. Pete is a jewel, as this Peter and I quite often say. He's fantastic, and he works a lot more hours than we pay him for, and he does a lot more. And even while he's had this accident, he's been getting himself down to the polytunnel, and he's been picking out things, and because he can manage that on one leg, sort of thing.
You can drive the tractor.
He's supposed to drive the tractor somewhere. Yeah.
That's when it comes grass at the cemetery, you shouldn't really.
Yeah.
It's a hard job tying him down.
What I will do is I'll just for a few months at least, with your permission, I'll send you. There we go. I'll send you a list of his expenses. He buys a lot of petrol because obviously the tractor takes petrol, and it's much easier for him. He has a couple of decent sized jerry cans. But his net pay is £378 each month. So everything on top of that. But I will pick up I'll start it from January and I'll send it.
Yes, so the budget I think for next year is about 7,073. So that include labour and parts.
I'll pick that up when
Okay.
I go through that. But yes, essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
But I will send out if you're happy to have his expenses. I'll do that, and you can keep a weather eye if you so wish.
I've got a problem with Peter, it's Steve Deere wants to be seen out and about more.
Yeah, well, we'll pick that point up with him. Ian, yeah.
I think if nothing else, I might add that, just again, it's a new term, new parish council, there's a lot of existing parish councils, but I think, Richard's point is very valid, that purely from being transparent, I don't think anyone's questioning Peter's capabilities
Not at all.
or Steve's, but I think that purely from a budget management perspective, understanding and getting clarification as to where expenses are being incurred and maybe just being involved in that on a regular basis and seeing those.
Yeah, exactly.
gives us a
I mean,
clearer
like I
idea.
say, when I looked at Peter's, 336 one month, 609 the other, I just wondered why the big differential, but now I know about, all these extra on costs. Fair enough.
Okay, then we'll move on to the play area.
If I may, yeah, I'm still waiting. The parish council obviously has formally now adopted the play area, and the village hall committee are arranging an external inspection, which should happen, I think, any time, and we'll get that when it comes in, and then I'll make sure you've got a copy of that. The last external inspection that happened was a little while ago, about 2 years ago. It showed essentially no problems at all. So there's nothing wrong with the play area, but to draw a line in the sand as the parish council takes it over, the external inspection, it shows that it's in good condition, then we'll take it forward from there.
Okay.
Can I just bring up at that point the street lights provision? I think Madge originally brought it up, that there are people in the village that use the footpath between Beacon View and the play area to get from the village centre back home. And in the winter, in the dark nights, then obviously they don't feel very safe because it's pitch dark along there. and the question's been raised that is it possible to have streetlights on there? There are currently 3 lighting columns that the soccer club use, but the lights that the soccer club have are not really possible to use for streetlights. They're the wrong type. They're almost floodlights, I think, is my understanding. Yeah. So I was asked to investigate, and I've spoken to the East Riding street lighting people. They say that they'll have to lay a second cable to the existing columns and then put the street lights on those existing columns. The soccer club have given permission for that. And so to install a second cable to the existing columns along the path, supply and install twin bracket arms, refit existing lanterns and provide new lanterns for the footpath, supply and install appropriate switchgear and isolators in the columns, and terminate the main cable in the village hall, which we need to look at. The cost to carry out all of that will be £3,600. And I've provisionally spoken to the Humberside Police Commissioners Fund, and they see this as something that we might apply as a grant for. There's no guarantees, obviously. So now I've got this price, this actually only came in today. I'll go forward and put a grant request with your permission to do that. And then once we get it, we need to tie in with the football club, with the village hall, to make sure that all the bits and pieces are done, and it would give that. Do we need to consult with any residents? Will it affect any residents?
There is one. Kenny. What was his last name? He's called Kenny.
Right, not just yet.
Yeah.
If
the light was shining in his yard, I'm sure it'd be.
Then the typhus were a big shine.
Could you not put like a sheet?
Well, you can put a shield. They would shine down. They wouldn't.
No, in theory it should be.
It shouldn't be a problem, right? Okay. Right. So I'll take that forward. Thank you.
On the same subject, I think people were asking about a bench out.
Some people from Beacon View approached me and asked if they could have a bench halfway between Beacon View and the village hall, so they could have, when they're walking, could just have a sit down, rest, chat.
I think that's a really good idea. Maybe even 2 or 3 so they can watch a game of football or something like that.
Well,
But there is a
Sorry.
bench.
Well, there you go.
There is a bench already on the Plainfields, isn't there? The shelter, your shelter.
well, yes. I mean, at the far side there's the blue and red shelter.
Yeah, but a bench, a seat for people to rest on along the footpath is a good idea.
But I think one of the thoughts was that moving that youth shelter to that side where there would be lighting, if possible.
Would we need to ask the youth element that use it? Because that's where they originally asked for it to be sited.
We bring it near to the residences.
And people, I have had numerous complaints from Beacon View residents about the noise on certain nights.
Yeah.
And if you brought it over to Beacon View itself, it would create more of a nuisance.
I don't think you're getting close to Beacon View then, would it?
No.
No?
Wouldn't be any close, but
It's
it's struggle to get in, that's the problem there as well.
What, between the edge and the path?
You have to sort of go take near the village hall.
I don't think it's that deep, is it? Width-wise?
That's it. I'm pretty certain that that's where the young people asked for it to be.
Yes, it was. It was
And
in the original setup where they wanted it.
I think moving it would cause a lot more problems then.
I don't know how much it's used. Is it used? Do we know? Is it used a lot or?
I think so.
Yeah,
When the weather's reasonable.
Is it used on dark nights?
It's maybe used on dark nights and
Yes. It's got a bit of rubbish.
yeah.
So, we're looking to the cost of a seat to be sited somewhere near the centre of the path.
Yeah.
The centre of the,
Yeah, I know.
yeah, there is.
The length of the walk.
I suppose we can make a loose argument that obviously walking
you wouldn't pay for that without investigating the grant.
Yes,
No, I wouldn't.
yeah. And
But
we
I
don't
think
trust-
that the new group that's been formed to look at the community summons and the play area could look at that as part of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will investigate it in the fullness, if I may, rather than buy it for them.
move on to the grapevine then.
The deadline is May the 29th. If anybody has anything, please get it to Emily as soon as possible. Emily's at the back if anybody's got any questions. Or indeed if Emily, I don't know whether Emily wants to know.
And what's the addition after that in March? What's the one from,
Sorry, Mark.
what's the next one after that one?
Do you mean
June.
this one's June, so the next one will be August?
So your cut-off would be July, then, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has Carol King approached you about?
Not yet. No.
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 Alright. She was hoping to, there's a questionnaire from the village hall regarding the route to go around every resident. And we was hoping you could, as a way of getting it to every resident,
Have that delivered with the grapevine.
yeah.
I'm sure that the community payback would do that. They could, you know, they could. We need about 1,200 copies. If you get Carol to contact me, if it doesn't happen this time, we can do it in June as being the next one.
Some of the better.
I can do the copies at a preferential rate. You know, I do charge local groups to do copying, and I don't make any profit or much profit for the parish council, because that's what you've said in the past, that you know it's there as a community asset sort of thing.
Right, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, well, one of the meetings that came to us as a public member, Gordon Hawcroft suggested something about putting something into the grapevines as a supplement. It was to do with the local plan information and meeting with Stephen Hunt. Is that still the case or not?
Oh, that should say.
Well, that really, the consultation period is finished on that.
It's finished. So it's done and dusted. There's nothing to put out in the grapevine. It's like a supplement. That's all done and gone.
Nothing was done in that.
I've nothing done. Okay, see, I missed the last issue. I didn't know what was happening. That's fine.
The adoption of the BT telephone box on Back Lane.
Well, as you know, that's happened. Some parish councillors had a look at a potential site for it near the village hall on Saturday. As I mentioned earlier, Claire Adrian, the first responder, I've spoken with her about the potential for applying for a grant from the parish council for another defibrillator for the village, and she said, that sounds great, I'll talk to the ambulance service, and the ambulance service said, more the merrier. The advantage with the CPAD is that it's accessible 24/7, so we benefit from being in an area where there's a high footfall near pubs and shops, or you could look at having the doctor's surgery. So it could go on the external wall of the surgery, it could go in the new telephone, in the red telephone box, or on the pub, or wherever.
Just a question, Mr. Chairman. Did the doctor's surgery have defibrillator kit in there? Because obviously if you don't, and the doctor's there and someone had a heart attack or a need for it there, is it worth us checking and seeing if they actually have that sort of facility there already? Because it was close by to the doctors. I mean, certainly if I was going to be going somewhere to pick up a defibrillator, I'd be thinking of the doctor's surgery in the village. And if they haven't got one, obviously if they've got the ability to use it in emergencies potentially as well. Or, I mean, I don't know how big these boxes are, how strong and secure they are. I don't know whether or not that old little BT telephone box would take it. I mean, it's
Oh, yes.
but it would take it right. We would be able to mount it securely in there.
Yeah,
One thing that is essential is a power supply.
yeah, that's the only.
They've got to have a power supply. There's a heater inside.
So if we cited it in the phone box and that was located in front of the village hall, we'd have to look at providing electricity to the phone box. So
It's just a trickle charge. It's uses about £10 worth of electric a year. It just keeps the frost off the defibrillator unit. the actual unit has a battery. It doesn't need power.
Is there power in there? In what? Is there a power at the front there? In them power bits?
I think IDNS could resolve that, couldn't it?
It used to be right there.
I think look into that.
Slip baritone here.
Yeah.
That's the next contact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got reduced power.
Yeah, most of the got power there, don't you?
The doctor said we do have the defibrillator within the surgery, but obviously that's only there during surgery. Just so we know. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not
Oddly enough, the doctors may not be trained to use it either.
You don't need training for this at all.
That's the old beauty of them.
Right.
There's also one at Metaphones.
Yeah.
If there's an emergency, that's also.
Right, so,
Well, I had a look at the site with Ernest and I think myself,
yeah, on Saturday.
Peter on Saturday, and I thought it almost looks like it was naturally built for it. As you look at the front of the village hall, you've got a bench with a bus stop, and you've got a border, and then the recessed square section with a small plant, a shrub that looks like it's in very best days. And then the border continues. It almost looks like a natural, like someone built the brickwork ready to site that in there. I think it would probably protrude about maybe half a foot, I think we said, didn't we, onto where the pavement area was, but it will sit quite nicely back. But I think Ernest brought up, I don't know who it was brought up the point about getting access to paint it and maintain the phone box behind. Was it you, Peter?
Because I think we should perhaps, well, keep in mind where we're looking to put it, but also keep in mind that we haven't got it away from back lane.
No,
It wants stripping down all the old paint, taking off new paint, undercoats, that sort of thing. And it won't be a 5-minute job.
So, for the sake of the pound, it wants to be either left how it is or put into storage until everything's definite. There's no point in rushing into anything and keeps it moving and thinking that was wrong.
Yeah.
For a pound, it isn't worth rushing into something.
I think if we get into the depot, Peter can then start stripping the old paint off and repairing this that will need it. I think the door needs some form of repair on it. But as I said, actual sighting of it, it's going to be a few months down the line.
So, are we going to have a word with Lincoln or somebody with a high on then to see if we can move it?
We will do when somebody's been on the interweb and see just how it's taken apart. So, yeah. I think each panel's cast. So.
You've had a look?
Yeah. I think it did. It looks like it's bolted down. But I didn't dig down to the depth of the concrete. It might be.
It unbolts off that concrete then?
I think it'd be able to cut it out, yeah.
Right.
We'll have a look at that. I'm sure Lincoln will do it.
Did T
Yeah.
tell you how they've actually
Should I
fixed
say?
it?
Yeah.
Did T? There is how they've actually fixed it.
No, they've now finished with it. They're not interested.
It'll be on the way.
They have sent us a video on how it was in the Isle of Man, which I think I sent on to people some while ago now.
Have we any alternative sites?
Well, I don't know because I missed the last meeting when it was decided to put it in the village hall.
Well, it won't decide.
Yeah, it was just decided to look at it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've talked with the other site, but we need to get to ground is the village green, isn't it? And if the other telephone box is going to be able to take away, that is the idea for it, but at the moment that's not going to happen, is it?
No, BT still think that one's making money.
I see somewhere that there was 10 people using it on a monthly basis or
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Between 120 and 150 per year.
Would it maybe be a consideration if we could get another extra defibrillator to leave it there and do it where it stands if it's going to be a really ginormous job to shift it or refact it? Would it fall apart if you once disturbed it?
That's a risk you take with them because they're casting out.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, but there are quite a lot of people,
Yeah.
old people that live down in, you know, in
Springfield and back to back.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't be as easy to make to actually do up there on site. Or is it face around it in his workshop? But I actually think it would actually want sandblasting.
I've not considered that.
If he was going to make a rock shop of it. So I think like,
Yeah.
Prime it and
they're all sandblasting, really,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Well,
Well,
the
the
option
always
is-
volunteer, young man,
Yeah, who was that? Who was
John
it?
Jackson. He started doing it.
Have they got sandblasting?
He has, yeah.
Actually might consider moving it to the depot. At that point, you'll know if it's in one piece when you get it to the depot.
Well, I wouldn't move it twice if you're going to have it sandblasted.
Uh,
If you're going to take it out, you want moving to wherever it wants to go into, doesn't it? If you're going to have it sandblasted, doesn't it? Because otherwise that's just organising transport twice.
I'll have to ask Johnny if he can sheet it and actually do it on site. Yeah.
Well, they did it, wasn't it? Blackies on them. Killers.
yeah. Yeah.
They were on site.
I don't know this.
I just took a look at it. So I will take it up first and then progress on to one bit. Next year, it's going to take a few months into it to get
Yeah, I think so.
There was some damage to it last time I passed it, the bottom right
The
side
door.
of the door, I think,
Yeah.
the corner of the door being damaged.
I mean, I'm not sure what the door's made of on those boxes, but I mean,
It
it's just
looked
like
like wood, but I don't know if I might be getting that wrong, but it looked like some sort of composite material, it looked like heavy iron.
anything with fibre glass.
Should we then first, should we have somebody have a word with Lincoln and get him to have a look at it and get him to give us a price?
Yeah.
Of hiring it out.
I'll have a word, he'll do it now. I'll have a mention.
You have.
As long as he gets a shot price.
Yeah.
So basically, Mike's in charge.
Okay, Mike.
Yes, and before back next time.
Volunteer, Mike.
Shall I go forward and look at applying for a grant for another defibrillator? Would you think that'd be a good idea?
I think you can't have enough.
The more the merrier. I mean, if we get the grants and we're eligible for them, then, you know, as you said, if we have two in the village, you know, different locations and one there.
We were a lot bigger than Foggy. You know, it was such as.
Would you think that the site should be at the doctor on the external wall of the doctors?
Well, I just think that anyone who doesn't know, you know, would potentially, you know, I think the doctor's surgery is a natural kind of,
It is.
you know, the medical centre in the centre of the village. If you're going to go for defibrillator, pronounce it.
I can't do that.
Then I would probably make a beeline for that first. And I think it's well lit around there on the evening as well because they're external lighting there, it covers car park, security lighting and things.
Yeah, they've got a sign that says hospital. What sign is it outside? Go on, see if it's out there.
Surgery.
It's the white cross on it going back.
Yes, it is.
It's just that when
So
I
it's actually the white sign,
Sorry, the green sign.
Yeah.
green cross on the white background.
Certainly one there with, you know,
Yeah, that sounds like the best place.
surgery. It's just that when I apply for the grant, I need to A, check to make sure the surgery are happy, and then B, as part of the application, say all of that.
Yeah.
So I need to go forward to the surgery.
Okay.
Right, thank you.
Right, we'll move on. I think we've just about killed the phone box.
Yeah.
Petition for a pedestrian crossing. Victoria spoke about it earlier. I think the petition's gone quite well.
Well, Victoria did say that maybe form a small group and take it forward rather than do it in a large group.
Okay. A small working party then to chase the pedestrian crossing. Volunteers?
Could we mention it again in the next edition of Grapevine?
Grapevine.
It's there at the barbers and people calling and.
Yeah.
Would it help if the petition's anywhere else?
Any shop in particular?
Well, because not everybody goes down the village, it goes
Yeah.
round the school,
That's true.
and back, and you can maybe get a lot of signatures if
Can
you
we
have a petition in the
Drop you
shop.
if you want then.
Yes, please.
I'll talk to Catherine and ask her to do that.
Does this petition, does it, getting this crossing, does it around the village the percentage of people who signed this petition?
I've not thought.
I'm sure that would have an impact, yeah.
Actually, people have mentioned it to me. They find it very, very difficult getting across that road if they're in one of those buggies to get to the doctors, because they don't know where the best place to cross the road is. It's too much of a junction opposite your shop, you know, and then when they've got to go so far into Old Road to get across the road, you know, to get back to the surgery.
Yeah.
And it would be good to have one. It would really. I mean, I think you'd find a lot of people down at this end of the village would actually sign it, that need to get across that main road.
We do have to have a little lady who lives near the care and hand across. She's a white walking stick. And you have to literally go across the road with her. And sort of stand there and literally stop traffic at times.
Yeah.
Because she gets across.
Well,
Yeah.
so, 2 or 3 volunteers then? Ladies,
What do you
gentlemen?
want us to do?
Just look at anything else that can be done apart from the petition.
Yeah, I've got a note here, picking up on something that Victoria said about the stickers. Could the parish council fund the stickers to go on the bins? If we gave them out, you know, you can't always rely on people picking up and running with it, can you?
No, this is true. Could we look at the cost of it?
So you should mention on this, I prepared earlier.
Oh, you are efficient.
To get 100 stickers that say 30, please drive carefully, and you can change that. I don't think it would affect the price. They cost about £70. That's a company called Smart Wheelie. I've only looked at the one, so there might be other companies, and we might be able to get a better price. Who knows?
Would we only need to do it on the 2 main roads or everywhere?
What size are the stickers?
They're big enough to see. I don't know.
You said about the price, and how many was it? £70?
£70 for 100 was what I looked at.
I would say that was a good price, because the individual little numbers that you get to stick on are about, you know, just your house numbers and that, they're about 50p. You know, reselling out 99p for one number. So 100 for £70 isn't a lot if it's going to be something that's visible.
Yeah.
Well, that would 100 if you've got 6 sides of 3 bins. That'd be 16 houses, wouldn't it? As if you wanted to do a pilot and spend £70 to buy them like today, if you like, and then you've got people along Selby Road and High Street that we know and that we know would put them on the bins.
They don't have to be, you know, I mean, sort of every other third house or something like that. Doesn't have to
You
be
want
every
that,
house.
Yeah. But there are sufficient people that live on there that we know, I'm sure, that would do it. And even if you picked out like 20 houses
Just
as a pilot.
to the signs on Back Lane, the grey signs that the parish council, I think the parish council put in with the street lights 30 miles an hour. There's no way to look at providing something like that on the main street. You know, it's obviously a permanent solution that would be there all the time when you're driving down the main street. But I gather that was done as a workaround because we couldn't get highways to put a proper 30 mile an hour sign on Back Lane.
It was a concession. We can ask for it to go elsewhere, but the idea that they're called SIDS, I can't remember what it stands for now, but we met with the officer, a guy called Paul Copeland, and there were people from Back Lane that fronted that, and I can't remember their names now, I'm sorry for that. And we met with him, and he looked at the problem, and I think the street lighting these fell in, were kind of allowed, it fell within the remit, whereas I don't know if it would on, I don't know, we'd need to ask a question.
Well, you do have those 30, but it's supposed to flash, aren't they? If you're doing more, but they don't work.
No, they don't work.
No, not anymore.
I've watched this in the village on the 3 main roads.
That Redway's pump hasn't been working since just after Christmas.
Battery died or something.
They're not actually not working at all.
No, not working at all.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Haven't been working for a long while.
no, you said that. You brought it up, didn't you, Matt?
Yeah.
Yeah.
could we explore, Mr Chairman, a permanent solution that will be there 24/7 all the time, as well as maybe exploring the option of pricing for the stickers, which, you know, I don't know what the collections days are on back lanes, normally Monday and Tuesday. We have a permanent solution. You know, I don't know what these signs cost. I have no idea if we're talking hundreds, thousands of pounds.
It's not an easy or a quick job to get East Riding to do your sign. And I'm not sure, those down back there, I don't think they're easily readable, visible. I think for what they are and probably what they cost, they're pretty much a waste of time. And it is really, I drive down there at 30 mile an hour, or somewhere between 25 and 30. The number of towns I'm overtaking at great speed. Sounds outrageous. I went to a meeting at Bubbly about speed and things, and someone suggested that a scarecrow in a fluorescent jacket holding a hairdryer was the best thing we could do in the village to slow people down.
It's 70 years or a van parked at the end of the village.
But are very jealous that you've got these mobile speed things, signs and everything. They really are. But Victoria was saying, and we spoke with the officer from the East Riding as well at a meeting at Bugwith, and permanent signs after a while seem to lose their effect. And the idea behind putting them on bins is it's something a little bit different, and it might make people smile a bit.
It's not always there, is it? It comes in
And it's not always there, and people think, oh look, and it's part of a thing with maybe scarecrows, and I don't know what other ideas that people might come up with, but
another thing about the jealous of is the speed cameras we get in the village. But they're, honestly.
Would they like them to go there, Richard?
I know it's like the same school for the first time. I think I noticed one there. They're always on the 614, opposite the old bricks carriage was. But I've only ever seen one in 8 years outside the school. I mean, I'd love to see one.
You lose a shelter back.
I was going to say, I would love to see one down Bath Lane, to be honest, because I living on the corner of Bath Lane in winter over the last few years. I've counted maybe 5 accidents where a car has come around the corner. I was walking my dogs down Bath Lane at one point, and the car jackknifed up straight through a fence, and they weren't doing more than 30 miles an hour. But sorry, digressing there.
These stand at the end of Southern Farm driveway.
Right.
You can see them sometimes.
Could we resolve this? Could somebody suggest that we spend £70 to get 100 of these stickers? It's not a vast amount, and we'll just see how they work. I mean, there's enough of us walk up and down Silver Road High Street or there to see whether people take notice and do slow down a bit. I propose that we expend £70 to give it a trial. Would anyone like to second that? All in favour of spending £70?
I at the dairy have 2 male mannequins, which I could donate if the parish council would like them.
Were they the 2 notes over the manhole?
No, these are proper mannequins.
Right.
They're the male mannequins that I have dressed up, but I don't use them anymore, and I was going to sell them on eBay.
How about that you haven't got the fluorescent jackets to go with them?
I could donate for the rest of the
Then on behalf of the council, I would say yes, please.
Mr Chairman, is it worth checking if there's any legislation on legality doing that? Because I've got a friend in Snaith someone actually did this in Snaith, and apparently, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but they were told they had to remove it because it was impersonating.
No, if you make it look like a policeman, it's illegal. But when you're approaching something, if you see the fluorescent jacket, you get the idea it's a policeman. But we were told that night at Bullwood.
we just organise a scarecrow competition. We have a scarecrow competition position on Selby Road and High Street, if you're taking that as your pilot area, and you get a couple of scarecrows, and you just put a fluorescent jacket on them, and you don't make it look as though they're taking speeds, they're just standing there, and the fact that there's a jacket, people see that and automatically throw their anchors out.
You just have to stand it
If you
behind
wish
the
to.
hedge. You know, it's too high, don't they?
That again, after a
We
week
won't
or
get
so,
into that.
people-
Yeah, but you can then move the mannequins up and down the road. This is a pin. I'm not suggesting anything. This is a principle of what Victoria and the guy from Beverley said, that you just keep moving things and make it. But
And she also said that it's local people, and local people would know.
Maybe being very unpopular to suggest this, Mr. Chairman, but what about these speed humps and stuff like that? I mean, I know a lot of people don't like them, but if we're talking about measures to really slow people down, as you say, you're going to get situations where it's local residents predominantly that are speeding really used to.
East Riding will argue that we don't have a speeding problem. They've done surveys.
you can't have anything that is a physical speed reduction thing like humps or narrowing of roads because of the type of road it is. It's an A road, a trunk road, or whatever the expression is. That's been, that question's been